Welcome everyone. We are returning from our executive session. I'd like to ask our student representative to lead us in the pledge.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome everyone. Okay, we'll start off with our administrator remarks, and how about we start with Ms. Culligan.
Good evening. I would just like to comment on some of the action items, the recommendations on the board agenda tonight. I'm sorry, not action items, personnel agenda. We have a number of probationary appointments up for recommendation. They include Keith Allen for assistant principal at CD Star, Brent Harrington for director of human resources, Carlos Rodriguez for assistant principal at Brewster High School, Kayla Corvino, social studies teacher at Brewster High School, Lisa DeFabio, teaching assistant at JFK, Luisa Romano, special ed teacher at JFK, Nicole Gomez, school psychologist, CSE chair for the district, and Michael Trainer, mathematics teacher. I also have two retirements. One is Michael Palmieri, a school bus driver, and the other one is Kim Rossaport, teacher aide. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. And on to Mr. Carlson.
Good evening. I just also want to welcome Shauna Beal to the business office, our new payroll clerk, and also wish best of luck to Laura Gregori, who is relocating to North Carolina with her family, so best of luck to her. I want to thank Supervisor Hay and all the town board members for allowing us to present at their town board meeting on May 9th. We presented our budget. We also fielded some questions from the town board. So thank you all for allowing us with that opportunity. Note to the community, our budget statement is up on our website. It has a ton of information. If you have any questions with regard to the budget, please take a look at the budget statement. We have a table of contents that includes a lot of supplemental schedules. The budget newsletter has been mailed over the weekend. You should be receiving it if you haven't received it already. And also the budget newsletter is up on our website. Finally, I just want to thank the BEF for putting out another wonderful gala in late April. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Dr. Gosh?
Good evening. I just have one short announcement, and that has to do with our K-5 mathematics curricular selection. Several weeks ago, the math study team enthusiastically and overwhelmingly chose to adopt Math with Focus as our K-5 mathematics curriculum resource for September. So foundational professional learning will take place at the end of this month, and a subgroup of the math study team will be designing what the sustained learning will look like through next year. So we'd like to thank all the students, parents, and staff who have provided feedback in order to help us make this decision. And I'd also like to thank the K-5 math study team who dedicated countless hours over the last year plus in an effort to select the best resource for our students. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Dr. Henning? Yes.
I'd like to thank Ms. Karen Dakin or congratulate and thank Ms. Karen Dakin and Ms. Maggie McCabe-Andriello, who will be graduating from the Future School Leaders Academy, that graduation will be held at Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES. Dr. Gosh and I will be attending on May 16th. The program is a collaboration between Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES, the Center for Educational Leadership, which is also at BOCES, as well as Bank Street College. It's a very rigorous preparation program, and both Ms. Dakin and Mrs. Andriello are, as a result, able now to go on and pursue their pathways as school leaders, and certainly we see Mrs. Andriello, who's already on her pathway, as recently appointed as the principal of the CD Star Intermediate School. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Whaler, Dean Berardo, Coach Berardo, Mr. Professor, and our new friends at Wings Over Water, who were here recently in February to receive an award for starting or establishing the Oscar Gonzalez swim program. We were accompanied by 4 of the students of the soccer team, Jordy, Daniel, Josh, and Aiden, and Mrs. Cacao was also there, as well as Ms. Jen Gary, who's our communications specialist. It was wonderful to be able to be there because it also gave us an opportunity to consider future opportunities. So Coach Berardo and Mrs. Hoyler are going to be exploring how to incorporate Wings Over Water into the physical education program. So that's pretty exciting. And of course, those EDN and Grace are also excited about making sure that they extend opportunities for the scholarship, which would allow students who cannot swim to be able to learn to swim. So that's a pretty awesome opportunity. So that concludes my comments.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any announcements this evening, but I do have some housekeeping items I will bring up in board comments at the end. So we can move on to our student representative.
Okay, so the first announcement is junior prom is this Friday, May 17th, which is also the last day for seniors to buy their prom tickets. The junior career fair will take place on Wednesday, May 22nd from 8:30 a.m. to 11:15. There's over 20 presenters lending their time to teach the juniors about their careers. Intramural volleyball will be held after school every Wednesday in May. The Mu Alpha Theta and Science Honor Society induction ceremony is this Thursday night, May 16th. There's 2 spring concerts coming up. The first is taking place Monday night and then another on Tuesday. Wednesday, May 22nd is the 54th annual Carol F. Johnson Scholarship Dinner. The 3 recipients include our own Victor Kai, Jane Cinta, and myself. Thank you, everyone. Thursday, May 23rd is the NJROTC Awards Night. Wednesday, May 29th is the Performing Arts Awards Night. June 6th is Scholars Night. And Thursday, May 30th is the Revision 2023 meeting, which shares information with the parents about changes occurring in the high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we move on to our presentations, recognition, discussion. And first up is Putnam County Executive Mary Ellen Odell and Kathy Balestrieri, Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES partnership with Tilly Foster Farm.
First of all, thank you to the Brewster Central Administration and the Brewster Board. Mary Ellen Odell has been coming with me presenting to school districts about our partnership with Putnam County at Tilly Foster Farm. Unfortunately, she is delayed tonight, and I'm not thinking she's going to be able to make it. So I will be very brief in terms of taking you through this presentation. One of the goals of our Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES is pathways to success for all students, whether it be preparing them for college or directly into the workforce. But at the end of the day, we want all of our students to have some kind of a career. So tonight I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about that partnership with Putnam County at Tilly Foster Educational Institute. But first, just a little background information about our tech center. You know, we have about 1,300 11th and 12th graders that come to us. About 80% of our students go on to college. The remaining students are able to get employment directly related to their career. Our students are very successful. They have opportunities for internships. Our relationships with the business and industry partners is very rich and very deep. Our programs are really divided into different categories to serve all students. We have life-level programs for students with special needs. We have the vast majority of our programs are really very cutting edge. Every month I get the New York State Department of Labor printout in terms of where the jobs are, and we always look to see what training opportunities do we need to provide for students so that they can enter either the workforce or go on and study further a major that will lead to a career. Some of the latest programs that we have at the Tech Center, we have veterinary science, we have sports medicine, we have child development. All of these programs have very, very extensive internship opportunities for kids. We have programs for students that have behavior problems that might need a smaller class setting. You see the listing of programs on the left. We have a slew of programs for English new language learners. We have all-day programming for these students. They can take their Spanish GED, they can take immersion, and we have these different trade programs that are offered bilingually. So a little bit about our partnership with Tilly Foster Farm. Going back about 5 years ago, we were approached by Putnam County Highways, Department of Highways and Facilities, wanting to know if we had any students in our construction and transportation academies who would like to do internships. They had an aging workforce. We're looking to see how could they start to prepare people to fill those positions as people were retiring. It's really interesting. On a regular basis, I am contacted by all of the unions, whether it be the plumbers union, or the mason union, or the carpenters, the electricians. They are desperate for people to enter those professions. Anyway, getting back to Tilly Foster, we provided some kids on internships. We saw the Tilly Foster site. I mean, if you live in the community, you go past there. Back in the day, it was a barn that was kind of dilapidated. So we began the conversation about what would be the best thing to start there. So the program that we started off with at Tilly was the culinary program in that big red building. We then, last year, added the construction trades program, and coming in September, we're now going to be offering animal care. One of the other programs that is on tap for the future is a horticulture, floriculture program. The thing to know about Tilly Foster, it's very different from our main campus in Yorktown. This program is for students who are really preparing to go into the workforce. They're students who are going to be transitioning, and we really have to get them skilled so that they're able to get jobs. A little bit about the culinary program. Students are there. They can be there any one of 3 sessions. Students get their ServSafe certification. It is very much hands-on, very much project-based, very much about having job shadow opportunities and internships for the students. All of them are going to get jobs once they transition out of high school into the workforce. Our partnerships are very deep with Tilly. We're very close with Ace Indico. If you were to go to their retail store on a Friday, you probably would see our kids preparing the food and serving the customers in the facility. We also work with Aramark. We have kids placed in different kitchens in the region. Very successful program. Construction trades. The students in the construction trades program have an opportunity to get their OSHA certification, which you need if you're going to be on a job site. They do the NCCER curriculum, which is a smattering of all the different trade areas. What happens is the folks up at Tilly Foster Farm give us a punch list of items that need to be done, whether it's making a walkway up to that beautiful deck where people can sit out overlooking the farm, or whether it's repairing a fence. These are the jobs that our students up at Tilly are doing. What's going to happen with the animal care program, we're going to partner with the person who cares for those animals of the farm. They have pigs and chickens, and they're getting 2 horses and all of that. The kids are going to learn how to groom them, how to feed them, how to take care of them, and they're going to be able to get jobs working in vets' offices in these different places that Petco and all of those different kinds of places. There are definitely jobs for students in those areas. So work-based learning. The other thing we have at Tilly is, I don't know if anybody has been there, but we have the Educated Palate North restaurant. And we started off by doing that once a month, and we had wait lists. People were backlogged for months. So what we did, we started offering it twice a month. It's very inexpensive. The students prepare the food, serve the food, and clean up afterwards, and then they have a bake sale. Very, very popular. We had one last Friday where I think we had 35 people come to the restaurant, so the word is really out. And every now and then you'll find the corporate chef from Ace Indico stopping by to help out in the kitchen. We blast out information about these programs to all of our component districts. We do presentations at the red carpet events. So the word hopefully is out there. We're really hoping that, that the Brewster community will see the benefit of having this in your backyard, and also identifying students who might be able to benefit from this kind of an opportunity. So lastly, I just want to share with you, the New York State Schools Board Association actually came to Tilly, and they did a little video and interviewed the teachers, and hopefully this will work. Okay.
ISBA News is supported by the New York Schools Insurance Reciprocal. Preparing a home-cooked meal for 30 people can be challenging, but not for the students enrolled in the Life in Core Culinary Program at Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES. Here, special needs students are chopping, slicing, and dicing their way into a future career in cooking. They learn the basics in culinary education, and current trends, including farm-to-table practices. The classes take place at the Tilly Foster Farm Institute, an historic farm turned culinary school in the Hudson Valley.
When a student comes to me, I see the potential in them. And when that potential comes out, when they're working a restaurant and they're doing a live service like this, it reaffirms why I'm here and why I'm teaching.
Partnerships between the BOCES and local businesses place graduating students into hospitality careers.
It's incredible to work with these kids. Each one has a different skill set, and trying to help them find what's right for them is personally extremely rewarding.
Ace Indico, a regional food distributor, has also gotten involved with the program. The corporate chef for Ace Indico spends time giving advice to the students.
Cook like you're cooking for your family. You know, something that don't serve anything that you wouldn't consume yourself.
Students looking to move into the working world say they're prepared to begin a career in the culinary field.
Gives me an opportunity to cook more often. It's a dream of mine to open a restaurant. I no joke.
The BOCES staffs gain a sense of fulfillment in working with the students. Reporting for NISBA News, I'm Casey Nicholson. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for giving me the time to share this with you. Thank you.
Okay, now we move on to Brewster High School Top 10 Class of 2019. Liz Boiler, welcome.
So this group of students exemplifies academic excellence. They have gone beyond the ability to cope with a changing world, solve problems on one's own, and be well equipped for the future. Beyond academic excellence, this group, this top 10, is civic-minded, humble, and kind. Congratulations to the class of 2019's top 10. Number 10. Number 10, I'll tell you a little bit about each one before we announce their names. Number 10 will be going to Gettysburg College to study international affairs or political science. Politics or law is her dream career. Some of her favorite teachers are Miss McTeague, Mr. Kurtz, Ms. Villaverdi. One of the things that she'll take away from Brewster is getting to know the teachers and being close to students. Her name is Rachel Thompson. She's a fantastic person. Her grade point average is a 99.964. Number 9 is Brianna Brennan with a 100.1291 grade point average. She will be going to George Washington University with biology or pre-medicine as a major. Pediatric surgery is her future plans. Her favorite teacher is Mr. Vigalucci, and being in wind ensemble. And one of the things she's going to take away from Brewster is that sense of community, particularly in marching band. So congratulations, Brianna Brennan. with a grade point average of 100.2109. Megan will be going to Furman University with a major in neuroscience and a minor in Spanish. Her dream career is finding cures for diseases of the brain, particularly brain cancer. Her favorite teacher is Mrs. Valicki. And one of the things that she will take away from Brewster is always having that place to come back to and making connections with Mrs. Valicki. One of the things you need to know about Megan also is in the fall she'll also be playing D1 lacrosse for Furman University, which is a great accomplishment on her own. So, Gerardo Mora with a 100.361 grade point average. Gerardo will be going to Cornell University to be pre-med, studying biology. His dreams for career is medicine, specifically being a surgeon. Connections that he's made with teachers are Mr. Maggiato, Mr. Kerrigan, Mrs. Musso. And one of the things he'll take away is the bonds that he's made with peers and that he's learned to appreciate those friendships. Congratulations, Jordan. Of 100.6847. Ellie will be studying at Eastern University. She'll be majoring in political science and history. Her dream career would be something to do with politics. Some of her favorite teachers were Mrs. McLeod and Mr. Bellucci from the middle school. And again, and this is a common theme with this particular top 10, which is wonderful, what she'll take away from Brewster is the friends and experiences she's had, clubs, sports, and events that she'll remember and having learned from. So congratulations. Number 5 is Charles Russell with a grade point average of 100.7366. In the fall, he'll be going to University of Delaware, where he will be majoring in pre-veterinary science. Obviously, his career would be veterinarian. One of the things that he's passionate about and that he's excited about from learning from Brewster is coming out of his shell, being comfortable with people, and building that relationship with teachers, particularly Mr. Honey, Mr. Cleary, and Mr. Maggiato. So congratulations, Charles. is Maria Najjar with a grade point average of 100.9535. In the fall, she'll be attending George Washington University and majoring in biology. But oddly enough, she wants to be a lawyer. Some of her favorite teachers are Mr. Maggiato. She loved the way his teaching made it hard for her not to understand, which seems to be a consensus among most of our top 10. One of the things that she'll take away from Brewster High School is the friends and close relationships that ran deeper than just a social life, and that no amount of pushing yourself can equate to a passion. So congratulations, Brewster. Alex Goldberg with a grade point average of 101.6384. Alex will be attending Rutgers University in the fall and majoring in biomedical engineering. A dream career for him would be stem cell research, anything in stem cell research. Favorite teachers are Mr. Maggiato and Mrs. Amuso. One of the things that he'll take away from Brewster is learning to be a more effective communicator. So congratulations, Alex. Number 2 is Jane Cinta with a grade point average of 102.9643. Jane will be attending Johns Hopkins University with a major in economics. Her dream career is obviously a career in economics, and she appreciates, the reason is she appreciates the objectivity of the social sciences. Her favorite teacher is Dr. Kozlenko. And one of the things that she'll take away is any kind of participation in Model UN and appreciating the chance to interact with incredibly smart students from all over the world. Congratulations, Jane. Valedictorian for the class of 2019 is Victor Kai. Victor Kai has a grade point average of 103.6152. In the fall, he'll be attending Cornell University, majoring in computers, with a dream career in computer science combined with biochemical engineering. One of the things that he'll take away from Brewster is the ability to find your passion and do what you want to do. And his favorite teacher, of course, is Mr. Maggiato. So congratulations, Victor. stand up one more time so we can give him one more. Thank you, and again, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we will move on to our next presentation, which is our transportation efficiency study. Mr. Carlson and Ms. Smith. Well, they might want to stay. You're more than welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting. Transportation is so exciting. Sorry for that.
So good evening, everyone. Just a quick recap of where we are at this point and how we got here, really. So about a year and a half ago, we had a change in leadership in our transportation department, and Ms. Mary Smith took over as our supervisor of transportation, and Leonor Volpe took over as our assistant supervisor of transportation. And as part of the transition, we felt it important to provide them with a roadmap of the transportation department and things that we can improve on. So we solicited the services of transportation advisory services to provide us with some feedback on the department, areas for improvement, which we'll be discussing this evening.
Sorry, I'm a little shorter. Good evening, everyone. Just a comment on the last thing. That was beautiful. I enjoyed that a lot. I have grandchildren now. I haven't seen anything like that with my kids in a while. But Leonor was commenting that she'd driven some of those children to Sunshine Preschool, and I drove their parents. So to get into the introduction of the Transportation Advisory Services, TAS, they're located out of Hopewell Junction, New York. They provided this study for us. The study was performed to provide the school district with third-party perspective on the operating efficiency of the current transportation program. When did this happen? As Victor said, it was about a year and a half ago, March 2018 through May 2018. TAS's method of operation, they were there to collect facts bearing on the efficiency of the existing program, compare current operations to the established criteria that was already in place. They were there to test the feasibility of the options available to the school district based on facts and our past practices. He conducted interviews with numerous parties in other departments to gain perspectives about the effectiveness of the current operations that we had, and he was evaluating the operations, policies, and procedures, and he was there to make recommendations. District profile, you want to take that?
So just as an overview, they compare our operation and all of our expenses. All of our expenses are reported annually to New York State in a form called the ST3. So that's an objective measure to compare different school districts throughout the state in order to calculate what they calculated as an operating cost per mile, which they use as a benchmark in comparing not only the district's operations to itself of previous years, but also to of other districts of similar size. Using a cost per mile in their estimation was a more accurate depiction because it will compare apples to apples of two districts that may not be similar in size in terms of geography.
So some of the recommendations regarding our fleet that Mr. Buffardi had made was he recommended that we would move to a 10 to 12-year fleet replacement plan. Currently, we're operating on a 13 to 15-year replacement plan. This is something that we probably really don't want to consider as we are aggressively using the buses for 13 years, and then we're taking a less aggressive approach in the last few years, and this is helping us maintain the the longevity of using the buses and therefore saving us some money. He suggested we examine the number of replacement spare vehicles that we have. This year, currently, we did dispose of 19 vehicles. We did replace back 7 of them with last year's budget, and one with there was an accident and the bus was totaled. So we did regain 9. He offered us that recommendation because it seems as though that we were holding buses for DOT inspections for a little long, and it created the need for the spare vehicles, which you'll see in a later slide that we shaved down the days that we would hold the buses back from operation to prepare them for a DOT inspection. He recommended that vehicle replacement be based upon the age, the mileage, the usage of the vehicle, and the cost of the repair, the maintenance cost of the repairs. That is something that has, as long as I have been in this role, that I make sure that I sit down with the lead foreman, the lead mechanic, and the shop foreman and discuss our options as far as a costly repair and whether it would be worth it or not in the value of the bus and what we have currently on the bus and whether the cost would be attainable. He recommended that we install GPS units in each of the vehicles. Last year, we put together a radio lease program, and we had all of the radios in the buses changed to the digital. So I sought to get the GPS units while the radios were being installed, so we saved the money on the cost of the installation by adding the GPS because they're installed in the unit of the radio. So every bus that has a radio has a GPS unit, and we didn't have to cover the cost of having them installed because it came within the radio. He offered us to implement a program of installing a child check system on each vehicle. Just to explain what child check is, I don't know if anyone knows that there's a button that goes off when the driver tries to shut the bus off or shuts the bus off. It prompts the driver to go to the back of the bus to press a button and shut the buzzer off. This would keep from missing a child that may have fallen asleep. Child check systems are on all buses that we're purchasing. They have been on all the buses in the past purchases, and that is something that in order not to get it, you would have to request that when you're ordering the bus, and that is not something that our department would ever seek to do. Anything that we can do to save, the children and make sure that we're checking for them. Maintenance of the vehicles, these are some of the recommendations that he made. He wanted us to structure the working hours of the lead mechanic and the foreman to provide supervision from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. This had already been in place as when he came in to do the study. The lead mechanic was informed of his change of hours, but they hadn't taken place yet. He asked us to change the pre-inspection procedures and intervals for DOT inspections. That was the earlier slide I spoke about. Under the previous supervisor, they were holding the buses for 10 days out of service to prep them for a DOT inspection. Right now, currently, we've shaved that down to 3 days. An inspection report, an MC300 is something that sorry, I have hair in my mouth. The MC300 is something that the DOT inspector will give you after he inspects the bus. So although if the bus passes inspection, there may have been small items that wouldn't put it out of service, say a light bulb or paperwork not being properly filled out, that he'll make those comments on his inspection report. TAS recommended that we go over those comments with the lead mechanic and the mechanic as well as the driver so that we could correct these on future inspections, and possibly even the driver could pick it up on a pre-trip inspection before they go out on the road. He recommended the school district encourage the mechanics to become certified ASE technicians. We do trainings all the time. We're always trying to get knowledge for the mechanics to keep them to date with the latest of what's going on. Them becoming certified AAC technicians, I think that he was suggesting that we encourage them by giving them a little something, and that would be something that would have to be negotiated in a future contract. Operations, Leonor's going to take operations for us.
In the operations, he recommended to update our employee handbook. We have some procedures that are not in the handbook, so we're going to be working on that this summer. He also said that we should formalize, and we already have this implemented, formalize all arrangements for transportation services to be processed through the transportation department, meaning all the schools, when they're having field trips or any kind of trips, shuttles, whatever, would have to come to the transportation, and we have to arrange that, and the coach buses as well, and so that we can check on the drivers, and we do the pre-inspections before any coach bus goes out. And of course, any of our buses are always pre-inspected. And establish a big specification for motor coach transportation. We send it out to we send out a bid to 4 of the companies that we work with, because we are comfortable with them. They know what we recommend and what we want. So that was implemented as well. We review the types and the student capacity of the buses being purchased for possible changes, and that all depends on the buses that we dispose of, that we make changes on what vehicles we need. And charge out services being performed from other departments. We have Service Finder and TransFinder, and we can get reports from each department, and they'll let us know what we're doing, what's good or not. Victor.
And just a reminder, everyone, this report, it's about 80, I think it is 80 pages. It's been uploaded to Board Docs, and it's available on our website. Some recommendations that they made with regard to policies or procedures. He references policy issues, but they're really procedural issues, or the majority of them. The first thing that he mentioned was to include in board policy the voter-approved transportation eligibility. Now, all districts in New York State at some point in time were required to have a referendum vote if they were to exceed the minimum transportation standards set forth by New York State. So New York State has regulations that say any students in grades K through 8 that live within 2 miles of the school district, and don't quote me on the exact mileage, but live within 2 miles of the district, it's not required that the school district provide transportation. 1.5 miles. It's not a requirement that the school district provide transportation. Most school districts do. At some point in time, Brewster either held a referendum vote asking the public would they support providing transportation within 1.5 miles. I'm assuming that took place many years ago, and it would be impossible for us to find it, as is the case in most school districts. However, he's recommending that we memorialize that in our Board of Education policy, our transportation policy, which is 5710. He also asked that we formalize procedures for releasing kindergartners without a responsible adult present to meet them. So again, New York State regulations do not require that the school district release a student, even a 5-year-old student, to a parent. So in other words, the regulations say that a school district can let a 5-year-old off the bus with nobody at the bus stop. Our practice has always been, and I believe it's K through 5. Yes, K through 2.
It's K.
So in other words, they want us to formalize what our procedure is. They want us to formalize what our procedure is because, again, New York State regulations are silent. However, we impose a greater restriction in that we want to make sure that our students are safe and released to a responsible adult. And finally, they asked that we formalize updated accident procedures that we have, of course. As Leonor mentioned, that would be incorporated in the updated and revised employee handbook.
Just to go back to the K, formalizing the K. So if a parent, we do not drop kindergarten students off without being met by a parent. If the parent requests it, we will not. So 2 through 5, we do if the parent requests it. If the parent's always there and they're not there one day, we don't let them off. We keep them on. better to be safe than sorry, just to clarify that. So the recommendations regarding routing, a change in school start end times with associated increase in the number of tiers should be considered at a future date. So like I said, those children that were here before, I drove their parents. Many years back, there actually was a 3-tier system here in Brewster. I don't know if anybody remembers it. Garden Street and JFK went at different times, and there was always that, how come they go first? Why do we go first? Right now, we're operating fine on a 3-tier system, and personally, if that's ever a conversation, I'd like to be part of it because I'm not in agreement with it. I think it would create too many issues. Next, he offered us to get an objective criteria for the review of location of bus stops. I have an objective criteria. It's the State Education Department. When I'm asked questions or asked for certain bus stops that really aren't something that I agree with, I always refer to the State Education Department for recommendations and guidelines. Continuation of ridership reports. He's saying continuation because we're currently doing them. We use those ridership reports to adjust our routes during the year when we see that we had high ridership in the beginning of the year and then it kind of goes down. So we'll use that a lot, especially if we're struggling with buses. Consider actual ridership in the assignment of students to and from schools, and that is something I'm currently doing. So when we create the routes in the beginning of the school year, every student in the district has a bus stop and a bus run. So we do use actual ridership in the assignment of the students to and from school. We don't overbook the buses. And we just want to thank everyone that Mr. Bafardi went around and interviewed when he put all of his information together. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson, again, next presentation, payroll deductions to contribute to 501c3 foundations. Has your name next to it?
Yeah. Okay, so we were approached by the Brewster Education Foundation to renew a practice that had taken place in the district several years back. As we always do, we reach out to our attorneys to provide us with their opinion on this proposed fundraising activity. And again, this is something that the district had participated in several years back, and it's simply being requested that we reaffirm the ability for employees to have withheld from their paychecks a deduction to the Brewster Education Foundation as a donation. So our attorneys provided us with a legal opinion, which I've included as backup for the Board of Education. None of this is really confidential. So I'll just read verbatim what they wrote. So confirming our discussion, we have the following concerns with the practice of the district soliciting employees to consider making voluntary donations through payroll deductions on behalf of a charitable organization. First bullet, it potentially opens the door for other charitable causes to be endorsed by the district through similar means. Second bullet, it subjects the district to claim that other charitable causes are being subjected to different treatment if it refuses to allow such promotional efforts. And third bullet, it might be argued that the district lacks the authority in the first place to use taxpayer resources to promote a specific charitable organization to a captive audience, parentheses, its employees. I guess what they're implying is that if you do for one, you must do for all. I just want to note that there's no tax benefit of an employee making a voluntary payroll deduction through through payroll, and I don't anticipate there being, many people knocking down the district's doors to request charitable contributions be made to any other organizations.
Can you just repeat the last thing you just said? You don't anticipate?
I don't anticipate many other charitable or employees requesting charitable donations be withheld from their paychecks to other organizations. Again, there's no tax benefit of doing it in that manner. I don't anticipate it being an issue with people knocking down our doors requesting to contribute to, American Cancer Society or any other 501c3.
So it really was just a convenience. I mean, if an employee wanted to and came to you independently and said, hey, I want to just have this action happen, or are we saying that we're not going to allow this practice and just do it?
Well, what our attorneys are saying is that what you do for one, you must do for all. And they're saying if you do this for this organization, you must do it for all others.
Right, I'm just making a distinction in terms of if someone independently, let's say we say no, right? We're not going to create the avenue deliberately. But if independently, the one or two people that approach the district and say, hey, can you just send this to wherever for me? If we're not advocating or letting anybody else promote or do anything like that, it seems like a different situation for me.
Well, and the district could always refrain and, refuse in the future at any point in time. We're not required to do this for any purpose. If we were to agree to it and allow for BEF and it became an issue, we could then eliminate it.
It seems like what they're saying too is that the district should not purposefully offer the employees just to be able to make a charitable donation to a particular, whether it's Brewster Education Foundation, Brewster Sports Foundation. I think it's not necessarily addressing whether, like what you said, Victor, if an individual employee comes and asks that it be done. There's a difference between making it a policy, we're offering this, we want you to do this. If we're going to say we want you to make donations to Brewster Education Foundation, you're treating them differently than the Heart Association and everything else. So it's a distinction between the district making an offer of being allowed to do this versus an individual employee coming up and saying, hey, can I have this withdrawn?
Right.
They seem to be okay with the latter, not the former. Or it seems that they looked at the former.
Yes, and again, they're just considering worst case scenario.
So, what's next?
Well, we're just looking for some direction of the Board of Education if they permit this activity.
Personally, I would say to follow the guidelines that they outlined, the attorneys. Personally, again, I'm making a distinction as well. I don't know if you want a clarification on that. For me, if someone approaches the district independently and says, this is really personal to my family, I want to donate to animals, whatever, I mean, so either we have to say, no, we won't do those types of deductions, or independently someone can come up and just make a request. But we won't solicit for others or encourage. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
Any other thoughts?
Do we have throngs of people right now asking to do this?
Again, we were approached by the Brewster Education Foundation. This I want to say maybe 7, 8 years ago, it was there was a similar fundraising campaign in which the district allowed employees to participate through voluntary payroll deductions, and we still have a number of employees who are currently contributing to BEF through payroll deduction from the former fundraising campaign.
Okay, so the practice is currently happening?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess I'm a little confused. So we're looking right now as to whether continue the practice or discontinue it. Is that where we are right now?
Yes, again, just because, we always reach out to our attorneys for advice on these matters, and just so they can provide us with all the considerations, which are outlined in these 3 bullets. And again, their indication is that the district could do this, but with the understanding that there could be, unintended consequences of other organizations reaching out, or other, employees reaching out requesting for additional, opportunities or organizations for making donations.
And from a financial point of view, from having it deducted from payroll and making a person writing a check and having that be tax deductible, what's the difference? I feel foolish asking, but...
Yeah, there's no deductibility here. Nothing's deductible in terms of an employee's, salary. So in other words, you're not avoiding FICA, you're not avoiding federal tax. It's the same same difference whether you cut a check directly to an organization, or essentially you would have it deducted from your net paycheck. It's the same procedure, it's just done through payroll.
I don't think it's
In other words, it's coming off after taxes, not before.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think it's a benefit to the employee, I think it's a benefit to the charity.
To the charity.
Because it makes it easy.
Because it makes it easy.
Right.
And I think the attorney's issue with it is if the district is making some sort of overt offer to its employees to make payroll deduction check contributions to the PEF, that is treating the PEF differently, better than the American Heart Association or some
Sure.
other thing.
Okay.
That seems to be what they've addressed. A second issue, at least to me, and maybe we just ask them to clarify it, is, okay, the district doesn't have that policy of making that offer, but if we have an individual teacher who asks, can I do this? That doesn't seem to be what the attorneys addressed. So I don't know if we just need to have clarification on it, but it's two different things. It's the district endorsing, not endorsing a charity, but by making it easy for one particular charity versus others, versus just an individual employee asking, can I do this?
Right, and I agree with you. I think I would like clarity on that from council.
Yeah, I would suggest clarification as well.
Okay.
Okay. We will move on to our informational budget hearing.
Okay, so this is our now our sixth budget presentation. In addition, we've had a community-based organization presentation this past Saturday, PTA presentation. The town board of Southeast hosted us, and we've also had, as a precursor, a number of Budget 101 workshops. So we've been at this for quite some time, so I'll be as brief as I possibly can. In summary, our revenue budget is $101 million. The tax levy increase is about $3 million or 4%. That's within the tax cap, as we've discussed throughout the past few months. Local sources are up about $700,000, most notably due to an increase in interest revenue from rising interest rates. State and federal aid is increasing just 2.2%, and state aid is continuing to fall short of our operating expenses here in Brewster and also with other districts throughout the state. Appropriated fund balance is a portion of our savings that we use to offset the revenue budget. It represents the amount of contingency in the budget, which we reduced from $2.7 million down to $1.5 million. So again, our total revenue budget, $101 million, or an increase of 3%. On the expenditure side, our general support budget increased by about $400,000. That's due to an increase in technology equipment for our critical technology infrastructure. We're replacing servers that are needed in order to make sure that our student data and financial data is safe and secure. Instruction represents the largest investment in the 2019-20 budget, an increase of $1.6 million as we add a number of instructional staff members, which are on the next slide. Transportation increased just $100,000 or 2%. Employee benefits increased just 3.5%. Usually at this point in budget season, we're discussing how the challenges that we're facing with increases in pension costs. Fortunately for this upcoming 19-20 budget, we have significant pension relief in both the ERS, Employee Retirement System, and the TRS, Teachers Retirement System. Our debt costs decreased slightly, about $100,000. Transfers to Special Aid Fund to fund our summer special education program remains about the same, $400,000. New to this budget in 19-20 is a transfer to capital fund to have a small project to replace exterior doors and locks at JFK Elementary School as we continue to enhance our safety protocols. I'm sorry, total expenditure budget, $1 million, an increase of 3%. As I mentioned, there's a number of instructional and non-instructional staff positions that are supported by this budget. Please refer back to our numerous presentations. Our Board of Ed Superintendent's proposed budget presentation on April 23rd gives a greater level of detail to each of these positions and what it means for enhancing our program. So on May 21st, you'll see 3 propositions. Proposition 1 is the general fund budget, $101 million, an increase of 3%. Tax levy associated with it, $77.1 million, an increase of 4.06%. Again, this is a tax cap compliant budget, meaning that we just need a simple majority of 50% plus 1 in order for the budget to be approved. Proposition number 2 requests to borrow $753,000 to purchase 7 buses. As you heard Ms. Smith and Ms. Volkman discuss our fleet replacement plan. We are 7 years into our fleet replacement plan, so this $753,000 will be replacing a previous borrowing from 5 years ago, limiting incremental increase or impact on the taxpayer. The first of 5 annual payments impacts the 2021 school budget and has no impact on this upcoming 1920 budget because the district defers the first year of payments. And we're aided by New York State for about 48% of the cost, so it's essentially a buy one, get one free opportunity. Proposition number 3 calls for the transfer of accumulated savings to the capital fund to install HVAC at JFK Elementary School. The cost not to exceed $2 million will have absolutely no additional cost to the taxpayer. Again, we're requesting that we reallocate some funds in our savings account and move it to fund this capital project. Again, we do receive state aid on this expense. We have a building aid ratio above 50%, which would reduce the net cost down to about $1 million. That building aid would be recovered over the next 10 to 15 years, depending on the useful life of this project. Again, no additional cost to the taxpayer. May 21st is the budget vote trustee election, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at Brewster High School. We just had our final budget advisory committee meeting this past week. The topic of discussion was voter turnout, and we have in our budget statement a schedule of the past 5 years of budget vote results in terms of voter turnout. And over the past 5 years, turnout's been between 8 and 12%. And what we noted is that there are fewer votes than we have parents and guardians in the district, meaning our parents and guardians are not even participating in the budget vote. So that's a significant challenge, not just for Brewster, but all schools throughout the state. Obviously, when the tax cap came into play, voter apathy took effect, and most people don't invest the time to vote. So I please encourage everyone in this room, get out, tell your friends and neighbors to get out and vote on the school budget. All of our materials are available on our website. This presentation, all of the 5 presentations before, our budget statement, the budget newsletter, again, just went out. So please reach out or refer to our budget website. Any questions that you may have should be answered within those documents. If not, we have a budget@brewsterschools.org website for you to reach out. And again, here's a list of all of our resources that are up here. In addition to the budget resources from this year are our Budget 101 information sessions. This week, over the past week and leading up to the budget vote, we'll be pushing out our budget minute videos, which is a short sample of budget clips from each of the different budget managers. Very short, please take a minute to look at them. We'll be pushing them out through the budget vote. And we thank you for your time.
Thank you, Victor. Okay, now we move on to public remarks. If anyone has any comments they would like to make as it relates to specifically only the action items on today's agenda, you may come up and do so now.
Hello, my name is Scott Seaman. I just have a quick item for the action items. In regards to the tax refund, looks like the Fortune Ridge Property Owners Association, the value has been reassessed from $800,000 down to $100. So there's a refund of around $24,000 to them. I just wanted to know if there was a way to reach out to the town, maybe to see if there's other developments that are out there with similar tax issues that we might be looking to for the future. I wanted to welcome Brett Harrington to the district. You know, he has very big shoes to fill to replace Ms. Culligan. I wanted to know if there was any general information on their history, what district they were coming for, some general information. I just wanted to thank Victor Carlson. He won a gift certificate, donating it to the Transportation Department for something. I just wanted to thank him. I guess he won it at the Education Foundation gala. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just had a question about the transportation survey. I was just wondering.
It's specific right now just to the action items, I'm sorry.
Okay, so when could I ask that question?
At the end with any public comments or anything.
Oh, okay. All right,
Sorry,
thank
thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. We will move on to action items. And number 1 is approval of the Westchester Putnam School Boards Association proposed budget and nominating committee slate. I can provide some information on this. So we all have, you can take a look if you haven't already looked at it, the slate for the officers, and I'll just briefly mention the budget. So in the letter that they sent us, it says over a decade, after over a decade of flat dues, they're asking for an increase of 1.5%, but they do take into consideration both the district size and the district wealth factor in determining our cost. And just to briefly explain, Westchester Putnam School Boards Association represents exactly what it says, the Westchester Putnam school boards, and they work throughout the year to provide timely and relevant services, programming, and data resources. More specifically, they advocate in a more, so we have NISBA that advocates on the state level. Westchester Putnam does the same, but more specific to our districts. And I find that they're truly helpful. They provide a lot of resources for us, and especially when it comes to advocating and keeping us informed. So it's definitely good to be part of this organization and maintaining that. The dues for the 18-19 year would be $3,960, and I think that's it. So I just need a motion for this. Carrie, and a second, Eric. Any questions or comments on the budget request or the slate? We are voting on both.
I have a concern. $3,960 is not much in the big picture of the budget, but it is a chunk of change for the board. How often are we taking advantage of their services? And I say that because when I went to the legislative advocacy meeting to meet with Senator Hartcomb, I was the only person from Putnam County. And it was disappointing. It was extremely disappointing. And they do a lot, they absolutely do. But there was a lot of recognition for Westchester. And I do know that some folks have been saying maybe Putnam needs to branch off. And I'm not going to suggest, or I'm not saying that will happen anytime soon, or if that's just a lot of talk. But something to consider for the board next year would be, and I'm not saying not to participate, but to engage maybe more and have more voice and more representation, because right now there's very little from Putnam, from what I've seen and what I've heard. So that would be my only concern moving forward.
It is interesting, and so they're paying for a service I suppose they're not utilizing, or you inserting their voice into. I know we've done a pretty decent job of making sure we're involved and we participate, and I know Diane's also gone to a couple of things, and we go many things. So I think it's a shame that other districts don't take advantage of what they probably are paying into, which is what I think it comes down to. So for us, we pay into it, so we maximize our time with it. It may be a good idea to consider something for Putnam, but the concern would be, are people going to show up? They're not showing up now. Right. It's a joint effort. So I think for us, the only thing we can really speak to is, do we really utilize what they offer? And if we, as a district, see benefit to it, and we utilize what they arrange and present and, organize, then it makes sense for us to continue.
I have no problem continuing. I have no problem saying too, I think that they need a reminder that they're representing Brewster as well.
I think that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, having gone to meetings, it does feel like a Westchester type meeting. But okay, I'll get on that.
Just saying that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
A lot of the trainings and stuff come from them, so.
They do.
You know.
Yeah. So it's a
But
shame
again,
other
if
districts
they're not-
don't.
if other districts aren't using their membership properly, and unfortunately Westchester is so much larger than we are. And I tend to think that they kind of overpower us, and especially when we're not having other people other than us there.
Yeah,
So,
fair point. Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second? So just all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Okay, now we move on to action item number 2, approval of stipulation of settlement for employee number 2146.
Yes, this is an employee issue that we have discussed in executive session. We have an agreement with the employee and the union, and we are seeking your approval on this agreement.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion, please. Kristen, and a second. Eric, any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Action item number 3, acceptance of donation, $500 gift certificate for Transportation Department.
Yes, I'd like to recommend this donation to the Transportation Department, a $500 gift certificate to Town Fair Tire. Again, I'd just like to thank the Brewster Education Foundation for putting together the gala this year. I was absolutely mortified when I won the raffle. And, you buy these tickets and you never think you're going to win. And my face must have been bright red when I won. I was absolutely mortified, but I'm more than happy to pay it forward to the school district and transportation department.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion and a second, please. Glenn and Diane, thank you. Any questions or comments?
thank you.
Thank you, Victor.
Okay, and all those in favor? The motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Action item number 4, disposal of district property, A, cell phones, B, computers.
Yes, these are obsolete equipment items recommended for disposal by our technology department.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion, please. I'm sorry, Mr. Hines and Ms. Kakal, thank you. And any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. And we move on to action item number 5, approval of tax refund.
Yes, this is a change in assessment for the Fortune Ridge Property Owners Association, and it's the portion of the development that is not yet complete. The owners have requested a reduction in assessment, which the town has granted. It's been recalculated by our treasurer as well as our attorneys, and is being recommended for payment.
Okay, need a motion, please? Carrie, and a second. Kristen? Questions or comments? So you said it's about the portion that's not complete, just sitting there. So I'm assuming that if they were to continue with development,
It would then go on the tax roll, or it would become fully assessed.
Okay.
And just to follow up Mr. Seaman's comment from earlier, I spoke with Lori Bell, the assessor for the town of Southeast, after we met at the town of Southeast board meeting, and I asked that she and I have regularly scheduled meetings just so that we can be made aware of certain developments within the tax base.
okay, great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Approval of contract pursuant to competitive bid, tire recapping and reconditioning, transportation.
Yes, this is an annual bid that we solicit for tire recapping. We typically spend under $20,000, so we're actually not required to bid it competitively. However, Just as a matter of good practice, we do bid this item out, or this service out, I should say.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion, please. Kristen, and a second, Eric. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. We move on to action item number 7, approval of resolution for the Brewster Board of Education to enter into an employment contract with Mr. Brent Harrington to serve as Director of Human Resources, July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022.
Yes, this is a resolution to appoint Mr. Brent Harrington to serve as Director of Human Resources, as well as a contract which outlines his terms and conditions of employment for your approval.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion, please. Kristen and Eric, thank you. Questions or comments? I think so. Well, so just with everything that we do when we have our interview, when we hire new employees, there's always a process that we have in place. It's very thorough, and we, do our best to thoroughly vet everyone. And do you want to provide perhaps just a little history of where, I know he's not here tonight, he'll probably,
I'm sorry,
a little history on who he is.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring his resume in front of me, but
Okay, that's fine.
Michelle knows him.
Sure.
Mr. Harrington currently serves as the principal of Mechanical Hills School, which is a K-8 school. Before that, he was a tenured principal with the Haldane Central School District. He comes highly recommended with exemplary recommendations, references, I should say. And we look forward to working with him with the board's approval.
Thank you. Okay. I did a motion in a second? Yes. Okay, so any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Okay, now we move on to the consent agenda. I think you covered some of the items earlier already. Yeah.
Yes, you did. I'm sorry.
No.
Yes, you did.
So I just need a motion, please. Kristen and Glenn, a second. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, now we move on to remarks. Board remarks are up first. I have a list, but I was going to see if anyone else wanted to go first.
I mean, if you want, I'll take the mic.
Yeah.
Well, we had policy committee meeting today. We wrap up one more meeting for this school year. Next week, I will be going with, I believe, Victor to Senator Harkin's office meeting. Somebody's going. Is it Victor?
Someone's going, and Victor won't be here.
Okay, I knew it was somebody else who was going, so we'll be, showing our face again, and probably be the only one, as usual. And that's really all the updates that I have. Just figured I'd let you know where we're going and what we're doing.
Okay, so just a few items. First, I'll start with the Westchester Putnam School Board Association annual meeting and dinner. So, being that we are one of the districts that are members to them, they have their annual meeting where we go to dinner and we vote. Actually, I would ask Susan if you can, I think you can email the results of today, the vote to them. And they just have their yearly discussion on different things. There's a presenter. So I do need to know if you want to email me, it's fine. Actually, Susan and myself, if who would like to attend. We always try to get as many people that can go. It's at the Crabtree Kittle House in Chappaqua, and it's May 30th. So check your calendars and then just get back to us tomorrow and let us know who can go. Okay, that's one. Two, we have to do Dr. Hemming's final year-end review. And I could suggest perhaps the 11th. We could do an executive session. I'm not sure if the 11th or the 25th looks better, but just the 11th was next, so I thought we could meet perhaps before and start. If we need to go after, we could continue. But that needs to be put on our calendar as well. And the last thing I have is, so I said I would bring this up. I need the board's input. And I spoke to Victor briefly about this. So the town is asking for more involvement from the board, and just to have us, be part of conversations or be informed on what's going on their end with things, and specifically the town planning board. And I think, they wanted to have us attend their next meeting. He was going to let me know when that is. And there's a couple of thoughts on this. We really have no say in what their role is. But I do think that from a brief conversation that I had with him, that there was some misinformation. And I think that if we perhaps, at least some of us, attend that one meeting with them, and we can clear up a lot of things, because I think his understanding is that we might have more say in certain things that we just don't as a school board. Our role is here, and not in the town. We have certain guidelines and laws that hold us to what we can do. And I think that they could benefit from just having that exchange. But I did say that I would bring it up at this meeting and ask the board your thoughts. If you wanted to send a person or two to their next meeting, it's I think once a month, 8:30 on a Thursday morning. I'm not sure if it's once a month, but again, he was going to let me know what their next meeting would be after today, and I can inform the group if you guys are interested in doing that, and we could attend with someone. Of course, I would prefer like Victor perhaps, because I think he really speaks to a lot more, that to help just provide some clarity on what our limitations are and being able to have conversations. I don't mind being informed of things, but there's just clear lines in what our different roles are, and I think it would be helpful. But I don't know if anyone else has thoughts that they want to share or concerns.
It seemed from what I heard of this that he's asking, at least in part, for the school board to get involved with, commercial developments in the town.
Well, he said he doesn't want opinions, he doesn't expect opinions, but to make sure that they're clear when they're making decisions when it comes to us, if we have some say in things. And like I said, I think we need to help explain that we really have no authority or role, nor can we provide an opinion.
I guess first we would have to know what, I'm not clear what he is asking, so it seems like
He just wants more involvement from the school and the town.
I don't, that's what I'm saying, I don't know what that
What the
means.
involvement
So I
is,
guess we
what
need
is
to
the
be,
extent of that involvement, so the only way to find that out would be to meet with them, one or two, or whatever, but outside of that, because like I said, I don't know what does he mean by involvement, or what do they mean by involvement?
Right.
That's the moral of the story.
I think it'd be okay if one or two went with perhaps Victor and Dr. Henning and whoever else would be most beneficial, and then report back how that meeting went, so just make sure it's all clear. Because I just want to make sure that they don't think we're just saying, no, we're not working with different parts of our town. But I think they have to clarify that depending what his intention is, we can't do certain things.
Right.
So I think it'd be just good to have at least one clarifying meeting. But that's just my opinion and thoughts.
One thing that he didn't mention to Mr. Carlson and me is that what I understood, you correct me if I'm wrong, Victor, he was more interested in making sure that the school district knew about certain developments, and that those developments had an impact on the school district in terms of homes and additional children. So that's what I understood. I mean, he was pretty emphatic about, why would the school district be interested in it. I didn't hear him say he wanted the board involved in decision-making, just to be knowledgeable, but of course, maybe it is that. I don't know. Is that what you call, Victor?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Okay, so then I can just, yeah, we'll coordinate.
Get it when we get the date,
Do that
and,
date.
you know, send out the email to all of us, and then we can go, you know, whatever, and we'll go from there.
Okay, just double check that that's it on my list, and I believe it is. So now we can move on.
So-
Oh, yes?
He's not looking for you to report back, or any member to report back, to report back for this meeting with anything that's said there.
Do they have confidential, I mean, if it's
No, I'm just saying,
confidential.
like, if they're trying to promote either, or not promote commercial development, or residential development, whatever their agenda is.
No, we
you know,
can't.
Right, so,
speak to
I mean,
that.
they want us to be aware of it, but it's not like we can bring it to this table and discuss it.
No, we
No,
right.
So,
Correct,
I
no,
mean,
and I
I'm
think
really-
that's
I'm
why
really
we need
following
to,
why he wants to do it, we have no input,
well, and again, let's have.
other than being a resident.
And we don't, so I think that we would speculate, I'd like to show that we do want to work with different aspects of the town to the capacity that we're allowed to by law. And we can demonstrate that, I think, by having at least one meeting with them. And if it is, the intention is to go beyond anything we can do, then we can just explain that and not record at that point. I mean, right, I think that's fair?
Right.
Okay.
That's I think the most reasonable way to go about it.
Okay. Good, any other board comments this evening? No? Okay, so we can move on to public remarks now. I'm sorry, so if you want to come up and then 2 minutes, and please just state your name.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Krista Berardi. I just had a question about the transportation survey, and I was just wondering, it seems that we gained a lot of valuable information from it, but I was just wondering, since it finished in last May, why it took so long to hear about the results from it and how much it cost the district to get it done.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say it wasn't a fix that Victor won at BEF. That was totally on the level, and it wasn't a buy-off of any kind. But I just first on behalf of BEF would like to thank all of you who did support BEF at the gala. It turned out to be a wonderful evening. I think everybody had a good time, and thank you for your support. Just getting back to the payroll deduction, just a couple of things that I thought about, Victor, that maybe you might be able to address with the attorneys, is that, well, first of all, there's precedent set, because we have done it before. And I know that's why I thought about it, because I donated while I was still teaching. But more so the fact that Brewster Education Foundation only raises funds to come back to the district, to our students, and to help with academic endeavors, scholarships, and new and innovative kinds of things. It's not like the money goes to anybody else other than the students in the district. So I don't know if that makes any kind of a difference at all, but I just thought I would bring it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple of quick questions. Wanted to know if there was any updates on ball fields. It looks like the last renovation committee met back in November. I want to see if there's any updates on the transaction. I know the weather is horribly hampering the effort. On some of the hiring, I did notice 6 consultant teachers that are closing out the year end, or I believe CV Stars. I want to see if there's been any clarification on what they're being used for. Are they fill-ins? Are they specialized? Or is it just something we do every year? I know we talked about trying to reach out to other groups to try to inform them about the budget, about what's going on. I know with the STAR tax exemptions, there's going to be some changes made next year. Maybe there's a way to reach out to the town, see if we can host a forum or some type of gathering specifically for the seniors, that there's things they need to know, be able to file for their tax exemption. I just want to know if there's any, with the changes going on towards the end of the year, do we need a temporary superintendent for the month of July? I just don't know how something like that would be handled, what the procedure is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please. You're welcome to come up. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ronald Reed. I'm currently a coach here at Brewster High School, and I came here to speak with you about our community outreach through the football team. My former career in the NYPD has given me a background in community policing and its various affairs. Quickly, I would like to mention some noteworthy events and programs that are happening here in Brewster. So there is some positive things happening also. The first one is our 1,000-pound club, which started with the graduating class of 2017 and was improved upon with the graduating class of 2018. The 1,000-pound club focuses on our core lifts, bench, squat, deadlift, and if needed, an alternate power clean lift. Safety is our #1 goal, whether a student athlete can lift 10 pounds or 1,000 pounds total. We were consulted with Rod Mergart from Bigger, Faster, Stronger, and has made us more confident as a team and has started to show promising results. Working in groups is essential to building camaraderie and team spirit. As the student athlete advances, they receive shirts signifying benchmark milestones, reach from total lifts. The highest milestone we have is the 1,000-pound club t-shirt. That is the one that I was gonna wear, but it's in the wash right now, guys, forgive me, okay? I have the 4-4 NYPD shirt on. We are grateful for our Mama Bears who post the achievements of all of our deserving athletes who reached the milestone on the, and you will can see that, like I said, on the Mama Bears 2019 Facebook page. Another thing I want to just mention briefly is Saturday, June 1st, the Mama Bears Pancake Breakfast at Applebee's. It's going to be from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., which we'll have a foursome raffle to the Angel Brook Golf Club. So anybody, the kids are selling tickets in school. It should be a great event. I also want to just point out one of the board members who have served Glenn Niles. He's part of the reason why a lot of the kids have kind of bought into the football program also. He has had a very good impact, a big impact on the kids, and I salute him for all his efforts, and it's a beautiful thing to work with him also. And lastly...
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish up. Yeah, no, just, it's a 2-minute time. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, thank you, finish
I'm
up.
sorry. Lastly, I want to make the board aware of the Brewster Football Alumni Flag fundraiser that is scheduled to take place on Sunday, June 9th, 2019, from 12 to 5 p.m. Surprisingly, many local businesses have pledged to donate food for the event. Mended Swords, a veteran organization, has given us 3 signed Mini Giants Super Bowl helmets as a raffle prize. Burger King has stepped up, co-backers, Ace Endico, Putnam Lake, and we're also accompanied by Always Big Fun for lawn games for the young kids, to have engagement with our older players and coaches, and anyone who was a part of, was a student athlete here at Brewster, years back. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, so then I will close the public remarks, and I think we can possibly respond to a few of the questions or comments that were raised. The transportation survey was done a year ago, test the cost, I don't know if you have that. If you don't have it right now, it's fine.
I do. I was able to
Okay.
look it up through board docs. It was approved at the February 27th meeting. The cost was $10,560 plus reimbursables up to $450. Mr. Seaman asked for an update on the fields. We just sent out a notice to our athletic field renovation committee and provided them with a recovery schedule that was provided to us by our contractor, which I'm attempting to recover now. We had a meeting with our contractor and we voiced our displeasure, for the most sensitive word I could use, with the progress of the fields. I informed them the importance of having these fields complete before the budget vote, as it's a constant eyesore for the community as they come to athletic events. They assured us that the softball field would be completed before the budget vote, which is just a week from today. I have my doubts of their ability to get that done before the budget vote, but they're at this point, on the softball field at least, they're at the point where they're able to just install the turf. At the baseball field, there's a little bit more work, and they assured us that it would be complete before the summer. Again, since we've installed sod, or we will be installing sod, the rooting process is much quicker than if we were planting seed. Also because the board approved the change order for an irrigation system that will also help with the growth. So we're still on target for having the fields completed this fall. Of course, we would like to have them completed before school lets out to be absolutely certain that they're available this fall.
Okay, thank you. There was the comment regarding tax exemptions
Oh,
as
yes.
well?
The town assessor, I believe it's either the tax collectors or the assessors have reached out to all eligible seniors to notify them of the changes to the STAR exemption. They were notified before anyone else, and in their annual mailing to eligible seniors, they included information regarding this change to the STAR exemption.
Okay, thank you. And just to go back to the timeline with the transportation survey to here, I mean, I'm just guessing it from what we've been told, just between the time it takes for them to do the type of audit that was being done and be that thorough and, I mean.
Well, I mean, it was released to us in the summer, and we immediately began preparing our corrective action plan. As you saw from our presentation this evening, there's still some things that haven't been complete. We just recently shared with the Board of Ed our corrective action plan, which is a constant focus of my regular meetings with Mary Smith and improving the transportation department.
Okay.
Because Mary had said that a lot of these things were either already in the works when you recommended them or have since been put in the works. So the fact that the results are presented tonight is not reflective of what has taken place.
Absolutely, yeah. This was not put on a shelf. This has been a constant focus of our meetings throughout the school year.
Okay, and then just, I think lastly, I think I can make a brief comment regarding the 6 teachers, and it just, my understanding is it's to cover other absences that we were,
The substitute teachers?
No, we're talking about the
consultant
consultants. But these are actually employees of the district.
Yeah, they're just covering.
They're just being put into another building or in their own building to cover.
Correct.
Right.
And their IEP mandated needs that they're covering for teachers on leave.
That's the other thing I would know.
I think we covered it. Okay, so now we do have executive session. We will not be coming back again. We will not be coming back to take any action. I do need a motion. We have, I believe we're still doing our campus security. Is that so? Yes, with law enforcement. So security discussion. And also, one of the things that was actually said earlier, it's an executive thing for this evening. We actually do have, for exec tonight, we're discussing the appointment of interim superintendent. So that'll be happening. So I didn't explain it before, I'm going to say it now. And I believe that's it, those 2 items. And again, no action will be taken, so I just need a motion, please. Carrie, and a second. Kristen, all those in favor? Yes. Motion passes, 7-0. See you all next time. Thank you so much for coming.